pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, a few opening remarks. Before we get started, Tom Thatcher's excused. Don't have any COVID updates, no board of health updates. There's no presentations tonight, but Tim Holliday has asked to address the board after the public comment period regarding the status of potential lease of Hudson Headwaters as a police department location. So after the public comment period, we'll you guys hang around and we'll discuss that. At this time, I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. If you have a second on that, please.
Second.
I got 3 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, at this time, we'll enter into executive session. It shouldn't be too long, and then we'll resume. Okay, we're back in regular session. No decisions were made. I would like to put a resolution on the floor. This is to appoint Patrolman Robert Butwick, Police Sergeant, with an effective date of March 10, 2023.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I also have a resolution to offer employment to Scott E. Cook as a full-time police officer, pending successful completion of a background investigation and psychological evaluation. A motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, tonight we have one public hearing, and this is regarding parking restrictions on Lake Champlain Avenue between Algonquin Street and Father Joe's Place. We introduced this last month. We received multiple complaints about the inability or hazard related to getting through that little choke point with cars parked on the west side of the street. Parking is available in the nearby parking lot, and for some of the owners of property on that street, they have driveways. At this time, I'll open the public hearing if anyone has any questions on that. Okay. Matt, I saw there was a short form environmental assessment that needs to be completed, or?
It just goes right along with the resolution.
Okay.
But yeah, your signature can go on this whenever.
All right, if there's no question, I'll close the public hearing, and we have a resolution coming up later on to address this, to adopt it. We'll get into committee reports. The airport committee met on March 7th, minutes are attached. The airport chair was out of town, so I'll cover this for him. Just one little comment here. The runway 220 pavement rehabilitation project pre-bid meeting was held on March 1st, and coming up as soon as the snow breaks and there's ability to do so, the taxiway and apron rehabilitation project will begin with real construction. Had won that bid last year. Other than that, that's all I have for airport. Like I said, the minutes are attached, so we'll go into buildings and grounds, which will be one.
Dave, your first.
I don't have anything really. We had a lot of water leaks and broken doors and minor repairs. Nothing anybody wants to hear about.
And I'm going to abbreviate my minutes, they are independent. On June 17th, it's a Saturday, we're going to have the 2023 triathlon in Ticonderoga. It starts at the beach and ends at the beach. They're expecting about 200 racers. There'll be children, I'd say teenagers, 14 and 15, and adults between the ages of 40 and 65 probably. And because of the parking situation at the beach, they'll run a shuttle bus from the Ellis parking lot up to the beach and take them back from there to their cars. Because it's not parking at the beach for all those people. And they anticipate they'll be off the beach by 4 o'clock. And they've taken care of all the necessary things like the EMS, they've asked them to be present, have talked to the police and so on and so forth. So this is his 3rd time here, or 4th time here, so I think he's got it down to a science. Steve Boyce was also at our meeting and he had a couple of questions. Steve actually wears 2 hats. One of them is he's president of the Black Watch Library Board, and he had some concerns. They want to demolish, the town now owns the property behind the library, and there's two structures there. One of them is not useful and doesn't seem to be in very good condition, and they would like to remove it, but to do that first, they need an asbestos survey, and they're in the process of working on that now. And he's hoping that also with the DRI, they were included in the application, so they're hoping that some of the things will be done in the property behind the library in conjunction with the $10 million that the town received. Steve is also a past president of the Heritage Museum, and he's still on the board. And he expressed some disappointment that we have not had our summer programs, and that's not because we don't want to have our children's summer programs, it's because we don't get enough applicants for counselors. But he's hoping that this year we will, so they can have them, because the Heritage Museum also offers art programs during the summer, and our summer program brought them down there, and it's a really good relationship between the town and that museum. The skating rink, as you all probably know, the framework is up now, and it looks like a hockey rink, but it's also for pleasure skating. And Ash Alexander, who's the attendant for that, has said he's had a lot of people using the rink. In the first weekend alone, I think they had 100 people on the Saturday. However, the sad news is that somebody decided they needed to vandalize the rink, so they threw chunks of asphalt and lead pipe on the rink, and then it was quite a job, and our supervisor is one of the people who went in and took care of the problem. It's just really a shame that we put something up for people to use, and then somebody decides they need to abuse it. We've had some other vandalism around that area in terms of spray painting on the backs of signs, and I think in the dugouts up at our rec fields. So hopefully we'll find out who's doing that and stop it. Let's see, most of the important things. My committee has an important thing. We need to develop some policies because it's unclear sometimes when people use the town properties or facilities what we expect of them. And one of the biggest problems has been with the vehicles on our town properties, especially in the park area in Bicentennial Park. So our committee will be working on policies for not only cars but also snowmobiles on our town property where they can be used and where they can't be. We also have another problem called the town clock. If you've been looking at it, you probably know it's not working except on one side. It has 4 sides and one is working. Only one is working.
Well, it's right 8 times a day.
It's right, okay. Well, you're lucky it's that many. Our town clerk has been really working hard to find out if we can have it rehabbed, and the bad news is it would probably cost as much to repair the clock as it would to buy a new one. And the other bad news is the company that we bought the clock from is no longer in existence. So it looks like we're going to have to look into a new clock. And that was also replacing the town clock or moving the town clock. It was also in our DRI application. So it's possible it may not, when we have a new clock or a repair clock, it may not be over there on Montcalm Street, but it may be down here at the entrance to the park, because that's another, actually in the streetscape plan that we have, it was recommended that that clock be placed there. That's basically all I have to say, and our next meeting is Tuesday, March 21st.
Just a little more thing on the library. They're trying to begin that snowshoe program. So right now the ball's on their side of the court. We're waiting for them to provide insurance information that also lists the town as an insured part.
Yeah, they didn't have a quorum at the last meeting, I was there, so.
So as soon as they give us that, okay, great, thanks. Economic Development Committee did not meet in February due to some scheduling conflicts. I can tell you that the proposed DRI planning committee list was provided to New York State, and now we're awaiting information from New York State on who is going to be on the consulting team. So now we're in a period of wait. And that will go to Highway Transfer Station.
Okay, we met on February 28th. present was Heath Towns, John Deming, Mark Wright, and myself. There's no public comment. The discussion on Grove Street and St. Clair actions are being taken and moving forward. Discussion was had about making more handicap spaces at the Armory. We will work with the attorney on getting the ordinance taken care of. John Deming brought up looking for historic markers that had been by the Ticonderoga EMS building. He was inquiring if anyone knows where they may have gone. The meeting is adjourned at 9:33, and that was it. No outstanding items discussed. I have one resolution to enter into an agreement with the Essex County Department of Public Works, DPW, for 2023 to spend town highway funds. I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion on that? This is an annual thing, so they can spend the money. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Municipal facility.
Had a relatively short meeting on February 27th, but we did cover a lot of ground, so I'll try to get through this relatively quickly. We did finish up the review of the buildings on the Alfondre report that was done. Chris Dotsey was very generous with his time in putting together a spreadsheet, which I will turn over to the Building and Grounds Committee for future use. It gives you an idea, at least from that point of view, I'll find a report of what has been done, what hasn't been done on repairs. Some of them are needed, some of them are niceties, but we will turn that report over, so we're finished with that as far as this committee is concerned. We did have some gentlemen in to discuss the potential lease of the Hudson Headwaters building for the community. As a police department, we have taken their proposal, had some discussion on that, and have asked AES to come up with a proposal to provide specs and details on what would be required from our end for the police department, so that could be put forth to the potential purchasers of that building. So we're moving with that. We did get a presentation from Mr. Holliday on that. It had some potential costs in it, and we have those, and we're evaluating those costs to continue looking at that possibility and comparing that to the ongoing issue with the new bill. So we have a comparison between the two and can make an evaluation. And when that's done, we'll bring that to the town board. There was also discussion on the highway department. AES has completed their evaluation of the repairs that required on the highway department, and a estimate to complete those repairs in total, and compared that to the cost of a new build. All the repairs that they have listed here were repairs that were brought up when they did their evaluation of the condition of the building several months ago. It appears that the total cost to repair the existing building, which basically completes the entire envelope of that building, including a roof, siding, infrastructure, HVAC, heating, etc., would be about $2.1 million compared to about $3.9, almost $4 million for a new build. This just came into the committee, like I said, on February 27th, so we're reviewing this, but I think that based on these numbers, that the work could be moved forward on the existing buildings, but we'll make that recommendation to the board at the next meeting. A lot of this stuff obviously doesn't have to be done all at one time. It'll be phased in over a period of time, and I do believe there is some potential reduction on these repairs if some of the work is done by the highway department. So this is basically if it was all subbed out and contracted out, so there's probably some cost savings on these numbers as well. So that's still ongoing, and we'll get a recommendation to the town on that. We did get a floor plan from, which is available, a preliminary floor plan. It was available in the clerk's office that was given to Chief Hurlock to look at with his crew to see if they're happy with their floor plan for a new build. And waiting for comments back from him and his department as to whether or not he sees any changes that he would like to make or additions or that kind of stuff, and then we will move forward. So we are anticipating a proposal from EMS for next steps, which would be to take that floor plan and spec it out to come up with an actual detail and get ready for a pre-bid construction, which is tied in with also the second proposal to do the similar thing for the Hudson Headwaters building, so we can have a comparison on that. Once we have their proposal, it's anticipated we would have to make a decision on proceeding with both of those simultaneous activities for AES, or make a decision to only proceed with one and not the other. So once we get those proposals in, we can review those and make a determination, and then we'll bring that information to the board for consideration and discussion and approval. And that's really all we've got on that. So.
Thanks, Tom. Public safety.
Okay, we met on the 28th. There was no public participation. Chief Holbert gave his monthly report, and Rhianna Peters gave her monthly report on codes. Dave Burrows, mentioned that the owner of the 2 Macomb Street burnout building are in the process of getting together a demo permit and will be coming in the next couple of weeks to have them removed. I asked about the property on Route 22 towards Putnam, and Rhianna stated that they're slowly cleaning it up. Joyce Cooper asked about the propane tanks that are not in use behind the flooring building. Rhianna stated that they have sent a letter to the owner of the building stating that if the tanks are not in use, they need to be removed. Joyce also states that there's a lot of parking on the sidewalks on Amherst Avenue near the white apartment building. Supervisor Wright stated that on March 9th, the board will be having a public hearing on the parking on Champlain Avenue and possibly a resolution to be putting that no parking into effect. Supervisor Wright asked Chief Hulbert to be aggressive with the enforcement. Chief Hulbert states that he will need signs to be placed when the spring and the white lines. Supervisor Wright also states that he has asked codes to check into a couple of properties on Burgoyne Road regarding garbage and old vehicles. The PD had approximately calls to service 170, 22 incident reports, 18 arrests, 10 uniform traffic tickets, no DWIs, and 7 accidents investigated. And the Codes Department issued 3 building permits, 5 safety inspections, and 5 pass-fails. That's it. And I have one resolution. You want to do that now?
Yeah.
Dave, I have a question for you. On the building that's being demoed across the fire department, do they have to get or have they gotten a asbestos inspection report redone so they know that they're doing whatever they got to do when they tear it down?
Because there was some roofing. Some guy contacted me a couple weeks ago. The roofing was being blown out in the wind, and they were afraid it was going to decapitate somebody or something. So I had a guy get down and take it all out. Okay, the resolution adopting proposed ordinance prohibiting parking on the west side of Champlain Avenue between Algonquin and Father Joe's, placed in the town of Ticonderoga.
I move it.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right, next, Public Works. The minutes from the February 28th meeting are attached. A few comments, a discussion on the site investigations for 2 properties that were potential municipal well sites for the private shared well municipal well project. There was an update provided on the Black Point pump station, and said the rest is in the minutes. I have a number of resolutions here. A resolution to change the billing account for 170 Champlain Avenue 170 Champlain Avenue LLC to 2 EU water and 2 EU sewer. The property has been changed to 1 apartment in a commercial building. Need a motion?
I'll move it.
Second, please.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution to change the billing account for 85 Kelsey Street, Carroll Tucker, to a vacant lot fee of .10 EU water and .10 EU sewer, as the house has been removed from the lot.
I'll move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution authorizing the creation of a purchase order in the amount of $23,000 to In-Pipe Technology for an advanced oxidation process lift station control unit with funds to come from SS09 fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. A resolution to approve lead service line replacement project change order number 2, which adjusts the substantial completion and final payment dates. The remaining funds can accomplish approximately 15 additional properties requiring approximately 10 working days. $40,000 hard cap will not be exceeded.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, was there discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution to send Caleb Winter to the basic laboratory course at SUNY Morrisville, June 12 through 17. Cost for the course, motel and lab gear is $1,268.43. There will also be mileage and meal reimbursement.
I'll move that.
Okay. Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution to send Caleb Winter to the activated sludge course in SUNY Morrisville, June 20 to 23. Cost for course, motel and book is $1,065.39. There will also be mileage and meal reimbursement.
I'll move it.
Second.
Joyce, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you very much. Human Services, you?
Sean reported that he continues to have good attendance. I think he has, Tanya, correct me if I'm wrong, 80 people actually registered for the after-school program. Is that correct? That fortunately, they don't all show up on the same day. But his average is usually between 35 and 40. And I think things are going smoothly. He's getting a good rhythm going. He also had good success with the ski program. I can't remember the exact numbers, but that program probably should still be on. Is it still on, Tanya, the ski program? It went into March, but I don't know how far.
I remember last weekend.
Probably the best skiing is right now, but
Last weekend was the last weekend.
last weekend, thank you. I've got a lot of people don't even know that's offered. You can find that should be coming home through the schools, the information is sent home that way. And that's basically it.
I see we got a request asking what we're doing for the summer program.
Yes. Well, people, the Heritage Museum was hoping that we would ask about our summer program. The issue with our summer program, it always has been very popular. The issue is getting enough people, teenagers primarily, to man the program. And last year, we needed 10 to run the program, and we had 6. And we can't run a program if there's not enough supervision. So we're hoping that this year we'll have more people. And Tanya has already advertised that. Am I correct? That's already been advertised. So if you know a teenager who'd like to have a job working with children in the summertime, it's 8 to 2, I believe.
Yeah, the program's
8
about
to 3, I'm really well informed today. It's not a bad thing to do, especially if they're thinking about going into teaching.
Yeah. Thanks. Seniors?
Seniors did not meet. They have taken the winter off. They'll be meeting again next month in April.
Health insurance, the only thing I have in health insurance is that Burnham will be conducting their quarterly health insurance update for a collective bargaining agreement representatives on the 29th of March at 1 p.m. So I notified all the department heads that they will send the rest of that. Anything on contract negotiations, cable, I think that. Spectrum Northeast, Northeast notifying customers that on or about March 27, 2023, WYCI 3 Decades located on spectrum channels 189, 1266 will rebrand to Catchy Comedy on the channel lineup, serving your community. Spectrum Northeast is notifying customers that on or around March 31, 2023 will launch WFFF, 4-inch high definition, and launch information tier of service located on spectrum channel 191, 1252 on the channel lineup serving your community. Additionally, they're notifying customers that on or around March 31, they'll launch WFF2, high definition and launch information tier of service located on spectrum channel 190 or 1250 on the channel lineup serving your community. That's all I have for that. All right, going into some financial resolutions here. First group that I have is resolution authorizing the following budget transfer to fund under budgeted general accounts for contingency. The balance after contingency is $74,607.38. $173.92 coming from contingency, $158.92 going to discounted taxes, franchise fee, and another $15 to central communications. And need a motion on that.
I'll move it.
Okay, move it second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A resolution authorizing the following budget adjustments, funding the account general fund balance for budget correction and contract fulfillment, $2,500 for safety inspection code enforcement, HSA, and then $70,000 for rescue squad public safety. Next group here is funding accounts by sewer fund balances to cover repair costs and equipment purchase order, $23.00 for sewage treatment disposal contractual, Black Point, $13,204.20 for sewage treatment disposal contractual for Black Point, and then $55,022.44 for sanitary sewers equipment. And then motion all of
I'll move.
Second.
that. All right, discussion?
Just a question on the rescue squad, have we signed a contract with this?
Yes.
We've gone through a contract with them?
Yes, we have. We've got some milestones and deliverables, and
Okay, great.
I'll make the motion on this one. What did something?
No, I already did. David and Joyce.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so carried and opposed. Resolution authorizing the following interfund transfers. This is transfer funds from general to the Eagle Lake Water Project, $499.30. And a motion on that.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, second Joyce, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, carried. And a resolution authorizing the following interfund loans. This is to transfer funds from general to the airport pavement project until funding is received. That is in the amount of $14,317.11. And then, second part of this is to transfer funds from general to the airport apron project until funding is received, and that is in the amount of $8,595.20. Any motion on that?
So
Oh,
moved.
okay. A second.
Dave seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. I have a resolution to approve the renewal agreement with Ponham Software for the continued use by the cemetery.
That's right.
I'll move that one.
I'll second it.
This is an annual thing.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. A resolution to approve the replacement of the host server in the community building at a cost not to exceed $21,887.52. Current server dates to 2015 and has exceeded its life expectancy for performance, dependability, and security. Funding is to come from contingency.
I'll move that.
Okay.
Second.
Dave seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. A resolution to approve the replacement of the Ticonderoga Police Department server at a cost not to exceed $19,085.27. Again, current server dates in 2015, it's exceeded its life expectancy for performance, dependability, and security, and funding is to come from contingency.
I'll move it.
Second.
Joyce seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried and opposed. A resolution to approve the replacement of the town board room computer system used to live stream and record town board meetings. at a cost not to exceed $1,257.15. Current system is no longer fully capable of performing as required.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Okay, Joyce seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and opposed, that is carried. Resolution to convert 2 additional parking spaces on the north side of the Armory, nearest the north side entrance, to handicap parking only, with appropriate parking space, paint color designation, and signage.
I'll move that.
Which one of you is moving?
Dave then Tom.
All right, David.
Okay.
Okay, just a little background, I was approached by the seniors on that, there's only 1 space there currently, and I said they had a few more.
That went up today, Mark and Mel, they can't do it until May, though.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Resolution to go out for bid for sidewalk repair and replacement to the extent of available funds, using $100,000 in ARPA funding and the remaining $14,650 in the general fund sidewalk capital reserve, which is reimbursable through New York State Department of Transportation Master Capital Project Agreement, and that references resolution number 290 of 2020. I'll move that one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, carried.
You missed the one before.
Skipped a little.
Did I miss one?
National Grid, but
Oh, yeah, I did, you're right. A resolution to provide a letter of support for the National Grid Ticonderoga Energy Storage Project. I assume you guys read about this one. Okay. Do I get a motion on that?
I'll move it.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that is carried. Opposed? Sorry about this. Getting too ahead of my chance. A resolution to adopt the revised senior bus policy, this is the February 2023 revision, I assume you all read it.
I'll move it.
Okay, for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, carried. Resolution to accept the minutes of the February 9, 2023 regular town board meeting and the February 23rd, 2023 finance meeting.
I'll move it.
Thank you. Second. Okay, Joyce seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that is carried. Resolution to pay the abstract.
I'll move it.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, that is carried. Resolution to accept the supervisor's report as submitted.
I'll move it.
All right, second, please.
Second.
Joyce. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, that is carried. Did you have, we're going to discuss the PD thing, but did you have anything else on your list? I had one to, I had a resolution to add an addendum to the current bid
Right.
advertisement that is out there to include that addendum information. You probably didn't hear this, but we had one contractor who's interested in bidding that had some information probably we should share with all the other bidders before we accept any bids. And so we're going to put an addendum to the bid process so everyone has a fair shot at submitting a proper bid for this. This is for the generator.
The generator.
Backup
Emergency
generator.
Okay.
Okay, so did I give you enough words there to make a?
I got it.
Okay. So can I have a motion on that?
I'll move it.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, none opposed, that is carried. The other one is a resolution to go out for bid again
Yep.
for the heating system at the highway garage. Any other words for that?
Well, we got that.
We had the original words.
She's got the original.
All right,
We just changed something.
because we made it the first time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have a motion on that one? You want a motion?
Yeah, I'll move it.
Any second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, none opposed, that's carried. And just a couple of discussion points. And this is a question to the attorney. What is our next step in moving forward on the EMS fire tax exemption, fire tax exemption? What do we need to go, do we have to, at some point, we have to have a town meeting, right?
Yeah, if you want to, you can set a public hearing for the April meeting,
Okay.
and I can get the drafts and everything. Time I can give you a public hearing notice. Wouldn't matter right now for the April meeting.
Okay, that would be good. I mean, the state gave everyone, all the towns a short timeline on this. There's no way we could have met that March 1st date. So what's important is we just get it get it done.
Yeah, I'll send you out a memo that I outlined, there's a couple questions the board has to answer, like,
Okay.
you know, it's up to 10%, there are certain criteria
Right,
that they have to
years.
meet. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was this again?
This is for that tax exemption for firefighters and EMS personnel. They're trying to get more volunteers into the system by giving them a tax exemption.
It's up to 10% of the assessed value.
Yes, it was.
Property tax.
Yes, it was put forward by the state at the end of the year, and of course not giving us any time to do anything with it, so. Okay, so that's good. The other thing I had on my list here was just to discuss 149 Lord Howe. That is property that the town currently owns that got from the county. And it is part of the Lord Howe Historic Battlefield and has been requested by the Ticonderoga Historical Society to acquire that property. I believe there's a way to do that, and the attorney can fill us in on what that is when we get to that point or now, but I don't know if you're all in favor of transferring that property to that.
Isn't that an unbuildable lot? Okay.
Yeah, it is unbuildable. They're trying to, the Historical Society is trying to maintain it as part of the battlefield, and they want to do some work to prevent further erosion into Trout Brook. So,
Where is this?
as you go, when you start down Lord Howe after the monument, it's just a short distance down the road on the right, when you're getting close to the brook.
We took the house off from that 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's a house on either side of it though, right?
Yes.
And so it's a lot kind of in the middle of two homes right there? Is that
Well,
how just before the ridge?
There's a vacant piece of, no, it's not. It's directly across from John Street. If you come off from John
Okay.
Street, you're looking right at the vacant piece of property. The house was falling over the bank.
So what is the process?
It's a resolution, subject to a permissive referendum. Usually we put a right of reverter in there that they, you know, no development
Right.
rights. If it ever was used for a non-historic, you know, vacant purpose, the title would revert to the town board and town Ticonderoga.
Okay.
But I would also need some sort of documentation for the historical association, like their charter or
Okay.
not-for-profit certificate of incorporation or something like that, so that we're sure that the name is proper and that they can hold title.
Okay, I'll get with the director there on that.
I'll have that ready for them.
Okay.
Is that a taxable parcel once it's
Oh, it is
transferred?
not. Well, no, if the town owns it, it isn't.
It is not,
The
but I
town
mean,
owns it now.
They're not-
right, but if it's transferred, then would that become a taxable
No,
parcel?
it'll still be non-taxable.
Non-taxable, okay.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. I think that now I'll go into public comment, and then we
Do
can
you
come
want,
back and.
do you want to do a resolution for a public hearing in next month's meeting for the fire?
Yeah,
EMS?
let's do that. Let's put a motion on the floor to hold a public hearing to discuss the EMS and firefighter tax exemption. And that's for April, what is the date?
Do you have,
13.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
April 13th at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you.
Your financial meeting at the end of the month?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll have the memo and the draft local law to you before that.
Okay.
And if we can discuss it then, give me the answers to the questions, then I can have it in final form. It has to be in final form at least 10 days before the April meeting. So it's kind of short, but
Okay.
we can accomplish it.
All right. Yeah, that's what I can do, get the data.
One first and second that?
Yeah,
Second, go ahead, Joyce.
okay.
Thank you, John.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so I want to move to public comment right now, and then we'll come back and address you guys. So before we go into the public comment section, I'd like to ask everyone to understand some general facts and guidelines here. There's been some shouts about free speech and First Amendment at our meetings. It's time to have some clear information about this, so that these meetings can be conducted in a more orderly fashion and civil fashion. The information I want to share is the way our state government does, the way our state government operates. So those who've been in this seat before know this, yet some choose to ignore it. There is a difference between a public hearing and a town board meeting. Public hearing is an opportunity for the public to openly speak on a specific topic and only that topic. The right of public attendance guaranteed by the Open Meetings Law does not include the right to participate by public testimony or comment. Outside of a public hearing, the public has a right to hear, not to be heard. The public has a right to attend meetings of public bodies, to listen, to debate, and watch the decision-making process. Public participation in a meeting of a public body such as this, outside of a public hearing, is a privilege and not a right. The public is not entitled to speak during a town board meeting because it is just that, a meeting of and for the town board and not a community forum. However, many town boards, including this one, include a public comment period, and we will continue to provide that opportunity. This town board meeting is a limited public forum during which the municipality can regulate the time, place, and manner of speech for the purpose of efficiency and expedience in conducting the town's business while not infringing upon First Amendment rights. So with that said, if you'd like to make a statement or ask a question, please come to the table, state your name so we can hear you and record your comment for the minutes. Please please limit the length of time for your comment to 3 minutes. I will be kind enough. This allows the opportunity for comment by as many people as possible while maintaining a reasonable amount of time to conduct the town's business in this town board meeting. Those commenting should address the board and not each other. And please be respectful of those who are speaking by avoiding side conversation and interrupting. And with that, if somebody would like to speak, please come forward. You're welcome to speak. Yes, Bob.
I'd like to yield my time to somebody
Yeah, we don't
that
yield
can
time.
speak
You have
for
3 minutes.
6 minutes.
You have 3 minutes.
6 minutes.
You have
I'm
3.
giving them my time.
You have 3 minutes. Was that your time? So you have nothing to
I
say?
say, I yield my time.
That's not the way this works. Next comment. Mr. Grinnell, do you have a
I
comment?
give my time to Mr. Grinnell here.
It's a dictatorship, so you don't get to.
I do. My name is Bill Grinnell, and I have several comments I'd like to make about the water situation in Ticonderoga. As I know the board is aware, Mr. Fuller is aware, and most of you here are aware, the town has been served, I noticed, by an attorney that has been hired by several constituents of the town that are completely and utterly dissatisfied with the actions of the board in regards to our water source. We feel that the board and the town need to renegotiate with the Department of Health and the EPA, even though they refuse to do so. We're offering a chance to change that position before further action needs to take place. It would be to the town's benefit and the taxpayers' benefit. The ball is in the town's court. We feel there's been a lot of misinformation given. I've been criticized, I'm not an engineer. I don't know what I'm talking about. But let me tell you what I do know. I spent 50 years taking architectural and engineering drawings and specifications and putting costs to them, ways and means to them. And if I didn't get it right, I wouldn't be standing here, I wouldn't have had a successful business. I disagree extensively and completely with a good deal of the information coming from the AES. For instance, a UV unit that would deal with all of the output that Gooseneck Pond is capable of costs less than $500,000. You would need a small building to put it in and some plumbing to go with it. I don't know where you get to millions of dollars, multiple millions. You have a proposal to drill 2 wells to take care of 20 homes that are going to be losing their water. That's 20%, less than 20% of the homes that are gonna need a new source. You're gonna spend more than 50% of your grant money to do it. My math isn't the best, but I can tell you, if you try and develop property at that rate, you're going out of business in a damn hurry.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your comment. Julie?
Did you get 6 minutes? Or 3?
No, sir.
I got 3.
Oh, you got 3?
Anyone else like to
I
comment?
gave him 3 or what?
But I didn't.
Good job, man.
I don't have to introduce myself.
I'm gonna make a comment.
Out of order. He's speaking right now.
All right, go ahead.
Please.
You guys know who I am, okay?
Have a good
And
year.
these people approached me a year ago for financial help to file a lawsuit against the town.
Mhm.
I'm providing the funds. Okay, you have failed to provide adequate water for the people. You have failed to listen to the people. 700 people on petitions that say they want this renegotiated failed to do that. You are not trying to work with the people. This is a dictatorship. Okay, because of that, people, I want you to know that I'm in this for you. I've been in it for you from the beginning. I'm not in it for these people because they're not in it for you. Okay? We need support, and we're gonna go through, and we're gonna get our gooseneck and Lake George water back. And he tried to say that they're not gonna disconnect Lake George. They are. They've been working on it. That's a lie. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Where are you going?
Nobody? Okay, if nobody else would like to speak, we'll end the public comment period and we'll go into, I guess if you guys would like to give us what data you've got. So these gentlemen, they approached me earlier today. They thought they were on the presentation agenda, but they were not. So I wanted to give them a chance to at least, as he put all these nice charts together, at least give them a chance to show all pretty.
More first neighbors.
Absolutely.
Take care.
All right, so. So this is this is the first floor of the, this is the first floor of 102 Racetrack Road. And that's the proposed changes that we're gonna make to the floor plan. This is based on a walkthrough with the police chief, Mr. Robert, and we took his information and walked through and made these changes, put it on a floor plan. What you have before you is the floor plan with the measurements. This is the pretty picture to make a presentation in the 3D with a person in it. This is the carport. That's why there's no covering on it right now. And then, well, the other
Don't
thing.
shoot Army's eye out with that, please.
Don't worry. I'm careful. I'm experienced. So one thing that's notable here is we added this. The center court was part of our original proposal with the and it was initially it was an option. It was indicated to us that it's not an option, so we added it. So that changed the rent a little bit, which you have that in there. This cold storage we threw in basically for free. So it's going to cost us a wall and a garage door here. It's a 16-foot 7-inch wide by whatever this distance is. I think it's 29 feet, whatever the existing carport is.
I'm sorry, what side of the building is this, north, south, east, what side of the?
So,
West.
right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is the current entrance to the first
Oh,
floor.
okay, I got you.
Gotcha. So, and then this is that entrance also. And so the cold storage is part of it now. And again, this was all walked through with the police chief. He likes the layout. He picked the layout. So
Tim, stupid question, is that any of that heated?
it's all. So the Sally port is not, and the cold storage is not. No, that hasn't been indicated, if you
Because
guys,
when we went over to Virgins, they had cold storage, but they wanted to use it for an exercise room. And it was cold.
so in this case, you've got storage. You've got storage back here, so you've got regular heated storage back here if they wanted to use it for that. You've also got an extra training room and, you know, your bullpen area and a locker room. So there's plenty of room if you wanted to put a workout room in this instead of just regular storage. And the total square footage of the building that we're proposing, including the outside square footage, is 6,600 square feet. So this is where it gets fun. So the next page is the presentation I made the first time, but I made some tweaks to it. So the 30-year lease hasn't changed, except it's 120 now because it includes the Sally Port per year. And then the option to buy is still there. It's in the lease that Matt has. Right, you got a copy of that. I'm sure you haven't had time to go through it yet.
Yeah, we got a copy of the lease, I haven't had time to look through it.
Yeah.
Marking it up as we say here.
Yeah.
There you go. And so the next number, option 3, this was kind of fun to do, I'm not gonna lie. So if you go to the next page, it gets us to that $4.6 million estimate. And what I did was I took AES's estimate of your town shed that was done at the municipal meeting with you, Tom. So I took this document that AES produced for that. And at that meeting, Tom Thatcher asked AES what the cost per square foot of the police station was, because they produced the footprint. And off the top of her head, she said between $500 and $650 a square foot. So I plugged that number into their formula, and that's what you have here. And obviously I reduced the size of the slab. I cut it in half, it would actually be a little bit bigger, but I cut it in half to 4,400 square feet. And then I used all of their math, all of their contingencies, all of their extra costs scaled to this project, and because they're all percentages, and ran the numbers with that property. And I used 575. If you look at the spot here that says new construction right here, the 4,600 square feet, and I used 575 per square foot, which is right in the middle of what she had said, between 500 and 650, and that's how I got to that number. But when you add in all of the soft costs and site work and all of the owner's items and contingencies and all that, you come up to $4.607 million. So that's how I got to that number. It was not arbitrary. It was the same method that AES came up with their number. And so, you know, following this same first document back, the cost analysis down, over 30 years, you're spending $5.709 million on a lease, and the option to buy is about $1 million less if you buy within the first 10 years. So that's an option. And then the other, I kept the maintenance the same as if it was a smaller $2 million. I only used $50,000 a year on the maintenance, and that's $321,984 a month, which you never get to on your lease. So the monthly on day one is more than you'll pay on year 30, which obviously there's a time value of money there. And then additionally, just another interesting note I thought, is that just the cost of the note, forget about maintenance. So building the building brand new, let's say you had no maintenance on it ever, which is not reality, the cost would be $271,984 a month, and you don't get that until you're at year 29 on your lease. So just the principal and interest on a note to build that building, like I said, you will have made payments for 29 years on that building before you get to that number that you would be paying on day one to build them. So a lot like the analysis that you conducted on the town building renovation versus building, needless to say that when you renovate an existing building, it's far less. In addition to that, you're not paying for the renovation. We are.
Well, we can.
So, right. So, I'm sorry, Mark, did you say you can or you can't?
No, we can't. We can't pay for something that we don't own.
Well, I could lease you the space and you could renovate it. Sure.
Well, yeah, I understand. I'm talking about, I thought you were talking about building to suit versus us buying the building and leasing the building and then using tax dollars to
You could do that.
renovate, or I thought we could not do that.
No, yeah, okay.
You could do that. You could fit
But you
that.
leave it behind if you leave the lease. It's a leasehold improvement, so you wouldn't.
Yeah,
It would
it's a loss to the taxpayer.
be off at that, right?
Right.
So what is the 2.9 million contractor over, what is that, overhead and what?
Overhead and profit, but that's what, this is AES's numbers.
But that's 15% of what?
It's 15% of the construction budget.
Well, then that's not gonna be 2.9 million.
Well, according to
10%,
Yes.
10% of $2 million is 200,000. It'd be 250,000, not 2.9 million. If that's 15%
No,
of
that's
that.
200, this is $2.6 million.
Yes,
So 15% of that would be close to 3 million, right? 10% is 200 and,
so this is not an additional to
no,
that.
this is the total after the contingency.
Okay, all right, okay. It just looked like you were
Oh, I'm
adding
sorry,
that and
so,
that.
no, this is, so actually you're not following the line over. The subtotal here is 2.9. That's the bottom of this.
Okay.
That's all this. And then the contingency is 436,000.
Okay, all right.
Make sense?
Yep.
Sorry, I should have put a space there. That's my bad. So that's the, and then again, at the very bottom of this sheet, just for fun, I put, if somebody had the ability to write a check for that, or invest it at 4%, over 30 years, you'd make $14,943,000, and at 3%, you'd make $11,832,000, as opposed to this proposal. So whether you have the money to write a check and you don't make $15 million, or you write the check and you borrow the money and you spend just in principal and interest $271,984 a year, it's pretty, in my opinion, and the numbers bear it out, crystal clear that it makes more sense to lease than it does to build. And I can't imagine what math could be proposed or discovered that would refute that, honestly. It's pretty thorough. So that's that part of it. And then, so the cost analysis, the rents, cost of building, and rent accelerator. So the last page, this is the rent accelerator, and all I did was clean that up and take it down to just dollars. And then there's a maintenance acceleration for an HOA. So if you had an HOA, if you decided to buy, you had an HOA, that's what that accelerator would look like. And then finally, the lease. So we've gotten the lease and we sent it to Matt. So it's a standard commercial lease. I had a copy of the lease. My attorney had a lease. We had some other commercial leases. We combined them. We took stuff out. We added stuff in. We made it as general as possible. There's nothing magical about the lease. It's a standard lease. And we're pretty sure that it delineates what we talked about as far as who's responsible for what maintenance. My attorney actually came back and said, well, they should do all this. I said, no, that's not what we agreed to. We're going to add this back in. We're doing this, and we're doing this. And so we try to minimize it to, what you guys, if you break something, you got to fix it. It's not my responsibility to fix stuff you broke, basically. If you want to redecorate, you can redecorate.
Right.
But that's not you. So, but the plumbing systems, the heating system, the electrical system, even the light fixtures we agreed to take care of. You have to change bulbs. So, all of that stuff we agreed to take on. And then lastly, timing. So if we were to get a conceptual approval to move forward, we would start the process of getting this building closed and purchased. And so we're probably 60 days out from that. And then I would say within 90 days, we could have the interior of the building ready for occupancy. It may take us a little bit longer on the exterior. And of course, that's the only structural, if that required prints and all that, we would certainly adhere to whatever code enforcement required on that.
So what do you define as conceptual approval?
So if you are in a place where you can agree that a lease is a better option and contingent on the legal aspects of it being approved by the town, to me, that would be conceptual approval. That would be, I've already invested about 20 grand into this project, and that would give us the ability to go ahead and move forward with the title searches and getting the due diligence done for the bank and getting the financing in place and so on, knowing that conceptually this is the best option for the town and we would go forward. So that's really what I'm seeking. That would be fantastic.
I know what everybody else is feeling is, oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, what are you gonna do with the top floor? This is only the first floor.
So, right, so the top floor will also be leased out to other entities. It would be just office space. So we're happy, well, we're not gonna let you pick our tenants. We won't put a dance studio up there or a daycare or, anything else that wouldn't be appropriate and symmetrical with what you guys do and have some good,
Will that be part of the lease, Tim?
It will.
Yeah.
Zoning laws are gonna allow.
No, I mean, it should be.
Children's center.
It's not right now, but
No. But I mean, it should be because.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's, we can restrict it to office space. The goal, Joyce, just so you know, is to have other agencies in there. Either the county agencies, the court system, whoever needs space, that it makes sense that they're near the police department. That's what we're aiming for here, is to really have it be a municipal safety building and center. Since it's already, if the first floor is occupied that way, that would be.
I have this to say though, I've been there as a patient, it's a very noisy building. And I don't know what your thought is about that, but you could hear every footfall going up and down the hall, so you could hear a conversation in the next room. I was shocked when I went there as a patient, how noisy.
Maybe on the floor, but from between floors it isn't. There's 28 inches of insulation in there, and you can ask the people that did up and down. I mean,
Well, I'm
the
glad
people
you're not
downstairs.
If you're in there this time, you've done something wrong.
And to your point, Joyce, if there are multiple tenants in the upstairs, which we expect there will be, more than likely, they'll want some, protection that way. So but that's gonna be
what I was-
between me and the tenants.
That's kind of like what I was gonna ask. Obviously, the police department is not a normal office building. What protects the first level from the second level? Like, for example, an erroneous charge of a firearm or something like that going through the ceiling. How do you account for that?
I don't think you account for it any differently than you would any building where the police officers are operating, so.
Yeah, except they're all police stations. They're not like an office space up above it or anything like that, or daycare or whatever, court system.
So, I don't know, and, everything has a risk reward, so I don't know if there's, if we can point to any.
My point is, this
Discharges.
is a police department, not like a call center asking people how their Dell computer's working, so, it needs a little more protection. Maybe the spacing between the two floors is
Like
sufficient to stop the fire.
the Virgin building is right on the main road.
Yeah, but they don't have,
Nothing above, but they can shoot through the wall.
Well, they don't share space with
Can they?
anybody though.
Sure they can.
Concrete, concrete.
Not Virgin's.
And I have to tell you, when they were talking about putting the police station at the Armory, and I'm actually a resident who was against it, you have to think about the mix that you're bringing in when you bring in a police station, and that's really concerning.
Yeah, and that's why, we think that the county or other municipal offices, which coexist with police departments on a regular basis, would be a good fit for that. But that'll be certainly questions.
my
for
comment may
people
not
on
hold
top.
any water, it's just one of the things I thought about, is, what protects somebody on the upper level from something that goes wrong on the bottom level.
Sure.
My,
How many times has that happened?
yeah, I've worked 35 years in missiles and been told lots of times that can never happen, and to sit down and watch it happen right in front of me, so.
No, I hear you.
My point, I don't know about everybody else, I'm just looking for what the best cost benefit is to the town, and I'm not sure, lease-wise, Matt, this can't be just a normal, we're talking about a municipal lease, I don't know if there's any other things that we need to watch out for that you already know about, things like that, so I'm sure you'll get to that as you finish reviewing everything, but.
I did, I'm just kind of going through it as if the town were doing something because the amount of time it would take to turn around the lease. Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that a commercial lease doesn't work with a municipality. Like,
Yeah,
even
that's what I was trying to
the
get at.
default provisions and things like that, they don't work. So like, for example, if a commercial tenant defaults on a lease, a landlord comes in and changes locks. Right, that landlord has that right under New York law. You can't do that with a municipal lease. You certainly can't do it with the police department. We've got evidence lockers, we've got obligations, so, and they're like security deposits. Municipality does not put down a security deposit because the full faith and credit of the town are pledged to pay the lease. Like, there's no security deposit.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things like that that a normal commercial landlord may not know that the municipality does not, they don't agree to.
And that's kind of like where I was coming from, you know.
It's all doable, like,
Yeah, if the cost benefit works out and these can be,
Yeah.
you know, worked in, then.
the procedure is a resolution of the town board, it is subject to a permissive referendum.
Right.
So you have to publish a, 30-day stop notice. That's how really municipality would buy or lease a piece of property.
Sure.
I noted it in the past, because a year ago or so, whenever it came up of the town actually looking at this property and possibly buy it. When I worked on the potential of the police department being part of the fire department, I wrote
Yeah.
my comment here. I wasn't in a ton of those meetings, but the initial meetings that I was at with the architect, there was a big discussion about those buildings being connected.
Yeah.
And there was a significant pushback from the architect, and I believe it was the police department or the committee that was working on it, that they couldn't be connected for some of the reasons you guys are talking about. Security being the big one. You can't have somebody drilling through sheetrock or something like that to get a defendant out of a holding cell. There's an architectural basis to how you build a police department.
One of the others was actually earthquake protection.
Yeah, I can't remember what they were, but I
There's a lot of
remember
things, yeah.
just the meetings I was at, there was specific discussion. So I offer that to the town board again. I'm not pro or con this, I'll do whatever Tom wants me to. But certainly, we've made mistakes on things like this in the past. Not to this extent, but what you don't want to do is just do that and then find out you made a mistake. So I don't know what the discussion has been, what the fit up is. Honestly, it was very bare bones in the email that I got. It's just a drawing that doesn't have, specs as to what the walls are going to be, what the security is going to be, or any of that stuff. So I don't know what the discussion has been with these gentlemen as to what that fit up actually looks like.
Well, there hasn't been any,
Just real quick, if the town was going to do it, there's a specific provision, I sent you guys the information like a year ago, actually I have it back in 21, but, there's requirements of what a town must do in terms of architects and engineers, stamp plans and things like that, so, it's just the difficulty of not being a commercial tenant. Right? If I want to rent a store, I can get away with whatever the building code allows, but from your standpoint, there are some protective things that you guys just have to, whoever you consult with, I'm not an architect or an engineer.
I went to Dave Grossen back when we were going to originally buy it, and he gave me all the stats on what it had to be. It's a type B rating, and as long as it's code compliant, I mean, if they meet code when they put it in,
Yeah,
that
just code.
wouldn't, but that wouldn't affect us. I mean, as long as they build it for code.
Well, the code and like, there's no specific code that would say, to my knowledge, here's what you would need for a holding cell, or here's what you must have for an evidence room. There very well could be, DCJS or somebody might have.
Yeah, let me jump in because we've talked about this a little bit. And so the one thing that's not included in our fit up is any safety and security additional things that you guys need to do.
Yeah, see, and that's not in this lease.
Okay, so I mean, and I believe that when we say at least, it was like, it's contingent on a little more detail.
Sure.
So, and absolutely, so,
Yeah.
but
Those are,
that's where no matter whether you build it or you lease it, you're gonna do safety and security no matter what. So there's no, as far as the cost benefit analysis, it's a neutral because it's the same on both sides. It's probably less on this because this is a back fit, not a new construction.
Whatever plans you took to build it new would be the same as you doing it over. I mean, if it's code compliant.
Right, and that's what we're gonna deliver at code compliant, and then if you need to do safety fit ups because a police station requires, in this regard, it is like a commercial tenant, right? If you're gonna lease it as a bookstore, you're gonna have a different fit up than if you're gonna lease it as a restaurant. You gotta have all sorts of different fire code, even though the building might be the same. So, but,
So it gets me back to the discussion on the facilities meeting and these very specification things. And that was looking for ADS to give us a proposal, but you were in the meeting to do a specification, what it would require to specify and the requirements for us to be in that building, and also to proposal to do what it would take to take the next steps on the floor plan for the new build police department and work up those specs so that we'd have a comparison on specs. And to me, that seems like the next logical step. Otherwise, we could get into a lease and then find out that we need to go spend another however much money to make it a proper police department. So I think we need the input from our engineers on at least their proposal to put the specs together for this, and the details and specs together for this, and the specs together for a new build, in order to be able to make an actual informed decision on which way to go.
I mean, the dollar-wise, you couldn't get any more.
Yeah, but those are his dollars, those aren't our dollars.
But if it's code compliant,
Well, there's code compliant, and then there's police station recommendations that I have sent out in the past, that we have gotten from our stuff, which is a little different. And there are recommendations that are nationwide recommendations that have come in, and different things out there that are probably not required, but are strongly suggested to build a police station. And those are things that need to be taken into consideration. It's not just code compliant. There's other things that need to be taken into consideration.
that's why they call the specifications, if it's code compliant. I mean, if it meets codes for police departments, that's all we need. It's nothing to do with us. We're not obligated. They're the ones that are gonna have to come.
But that's right. I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is.
That's not what he's saying.
No, what I'm saying is, he needs those specifications if he's gonna do that in order to know what those actual costs are.
Right.
And his costs that he's put in here as a new build are obviously his costs, and we need to know what our costs are.
The cost,
I
the
understand.
cost that I put in was a cost from AES, was not from me.
No, I understand, but I wanna see it from our engineer, because they're obviously.
Well, there is, but even to their credit, there is a cost savings if they do the fit up,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
If we don't do it, it's not a
Yeah.
public works project.
Right.
If it's a turnkey fit up, so there's some negotiation to be had there too.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he has access to engineering. We don't need to pay AES again to go over 2 more buildings for nothing.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't. No. They have engineering firms. They can do just what AES has done.
But we're not gonna rely on somebody that is not contracted to the town to perform those services.
Maybe you won't, but we could.
Tim, can I ask what your background is?
Sure. How far do you want me to go back?
Well, I'm just wondering what exactly your role is in this whole project.
Okay,
besides the
well, that's a
fact
great
that you wanna buy
question,
a
Joyce,
building.
thank you. So I'll go back about 32 years. I was a Navy nuclear power plant operator and instructor for the U.S. Navy and stationed in West Milton, like I said, as an instructor. While I was in, I decided I had had enough bosses to last me a lifetime, so I started flipping houses. So I had a construction company, and when I got out, that was the last time I was gainfully employed. It was June 10th of 1990, and since then I've been gainfully unemployed. So I flipped houses for quite a few years. At a peak of what we were doing, we were buying a house a week, and that was all me. And then from there, I shifted into doing subdivisions. We did 5 major subdivisions in Saratoga County and countless minor subdivisions. We built some houses, we split some lots. And then the market shifted out from under me. Well, my business model was buying land, subdividing it, and selling it to the end user. And overnight, people stopped buying houses, or buying lots. What had happened was the banking department, the banking industry, I should say, had shifted out from under me, and I didn't realize it. So once I understood that, I decided for some extra cash flow at the time, this was the mid-90s, it was the right after the first crash that I started this business in. I started originating loans, and I realized that the most fun I ever had was putting transactions together. So I worked for somebody for 5 years, and then I managed the business for 5 years, and I opened Victory Funding, which is a mortgage company in Malta that I still own today. That's one of my main businesses. And so we offer commercial hard money loans for flippers. We finance flippers. We do first-time home buyers, FHA, USDA, all the residential products and all that in that company. I have a real estate company that I started about the same time. It was actually before the mortgage company. I have that. I have a property management company, which is the name of this company here, that I've managed hundreds of units in the city of Albany. So, and I still buy property, renovate property, resell property, so for myself. I'm an investor that happens to own a bunch of real estate related businesses, so that's my
Sounds like a
background.
lot of it is residential, though, am I correct?
Not all, no. Most of what I own is commercial, and I do residential lending, but I also do commercial lending. One of the partners in this particular endeavor has built and owned, I don't know, dozens of post offices, including some, in the North Country up here. So there's, we have a breadth of experience with that kind of a lease too. That's about as wonky as a municipal lease as you can get as a post office. So, but yeah, so that's my background. So I've done nothing but real estate and real estate related stuff for a very long time, including commercial. I own commercial buildings myself.
Is that the brothers out of Rensselaer County?
What's that?
Is that the two brothers out of Rensselaer County to do the post office?
Yes, probably. The Bears? Yeah,
Did work in the 20-something years ago.
there you go.
So even if we, went through the other, the town's engineering analysis, at some point you have to have a public referendum.
It's
A
permissive.
permissive referendum.
Yeah, just a resolution subject to permissive referendum.
So you wouldn't be able to sign up any kind of a lease before that.
Yeah, we need, for the next meeting, the soonest would be a resolution subject to PR, and then it'd be 30 days after that.
Now, if he takes Adam's drawings, or this plan that he has here, and takes it to a licensed engineer, and they review what the police departments, and comes back with stamped drawings, are we,
We should have a discussion about that. Tom's not completely wrong. The engineer stamp is only to the person that's certified to, and that's not the town.
What could be the town?
Yeah.
No problem with that. Who's your town engineer?
City
There you go.
Except for I don't do this part, but yes.
Okay.
I only, just one second, whatever you guys decide to hire to do or not, it's fine, but I was listening to your cost comparisons from ours, and I didn't do this, but I'm more the water wastewater engineer. I think you're good, mostly sounded good. We may need to, when Aaron, our other person, puts back the next estimate or whatever, we're gonna have to just make sure we break it down a little differently, because there's, some of the things like those fit-up things might be in our cost. So you're doing your comparisons, you excluded them, but we didn't.
So I don't have any fit-up costs for you because I'm doing them.
No, I mean, in our AES estimate, there might be some that you excluded, but we included, so when you're doing your apples to apples. Now, they're probably relatively small compared to the difference between the two, but just, we may want to break it out a little bit differently, so it's actually true.
Yeah, all I did was reverse engineer a spreadsheet
Yeah,
with
exactly.
square footages, and this was for a town building, but
I think they're close.
Yeah.
It sounded like, the math sounded right in my head when you're talking, but it's not quite apples to apples, so if you're going to compare them, we probably got to tweak. We may have to tweak our formatting a little bit to match your formatting or vice versa.
sure,
That can be done, it just
sure.
doesn't matter.
And to your point, Matt, our fit-up is code compliant for a commercial building. That's our proposal.
Actually, I was
So-
looking at the lease you have.
And then, so the safety and security fit-up is on the town, regardless. I mean,
That's the piece I don't know if that's in the estimate we did or not, so if that's.
you haven't done an estimate yet. You haven't done an estimate to fit this building up.
No, but I mean for the estimate that was done for the
Gotcha.
bill
So,
that was
yeah.
in there, and you're excluding from this one, it's close, but it's not quite.
Right.
apples to apples.
So AES hasn't done an estimate on even a new construction for this building. So my estimate for the new construction of this building was based on AES's estimate formulas
Okay.
for the town building. And then Tom Tasher asked her, and Aaron said that the cost per square foot would be $500 to $650. So it was off the cuff, I doubt she was off by half, because a big vacant building is $250 a square foot, so.
It sounds
Yeah,
good.
but, yeah.
Your conversation sounded good for me. I think it's, when you're getting to the comparison part, there's some tweaks we could do to make it
Certainly.
more accurate,
Certainly.
but you're in the ballpark.
I guess the only thing I'm asking is why AES has to do it? Why, if we have a New York State engineer that he has that says,
I didn't say it.
no, I'm just saying, Tom wanted him to do 2 studies on a new building, another one, and if they're gonna do it.
What I said was, I asked AES to give us a proposal.
Which is gonna cost us money.
To get a proposal?
Yeah. I would guess.
No,
No,
to get a
so-
proposal to do those estimates.
He's talking about getting an estimate to do the estimates.
Oh,
Basically.
Yeah, just a cost from them, a cost estimate from them to perform what needs to be done on here to get proper specs and to do the same thing for a new police department. That's just a proposal. And that can come to the town board, and the town board can agree to proceed down both paths, so they can compare both of them, or they can agree to discard one and go with the other.
Wait, wouldn't it be the same, new or rehabbed?
What do you mean, our time, or?
No,
The
I mean,
safety
The
and
safety and the, actually, you took that building,
security.
call that a new building.
Yeah,
Whatever
I
you
guess
do in
my-
that, you're gonna do in a new building.
You were making it
Yeah, I guess my point is I wasn't sure if the estimates we'd given included some of that or not.
The estimates you gave were based on renovating the highway department. Those are the numbers he's using.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Right,
So-
so even if, to your point, if it was the same new or fit up, it's still no different to them. But if you use, again, going back to their, if you compare renovation versus new construction, it's half. So if you're gonna pay for safety and fit up, safety and security anyway, it's gonna be half in a building that exists with all brand new walls and sheetrock and, you know, everything else brand new, probably less than half. But, so that's my point with that is, and what, I guess what I'm trying to get to, and I understand, you know, studying this endlessly is an option, but probably not the best option. I don't know that it's arguable that it's not less expensive to go with the lease at this point. I think it's obvious.
Well, also the numbers that you use right there, reverse engineer, does not have the fit up for safety either.
No, well, it may, I mean, in her off-the-cuff 500 to 650 may have included, you know, that fit up.
It probably does,
Probably does,
we
right.
wouldn't be that high without it. So
Right.
That's what I'm saying,
I would agree.
if you guys choose to have, if you go forward with our proposal, just make sure that we break it down so whatever, we can compare them, whatever line items come in it, or the
Right.
same line items you're using, so you can compare them apples to apples.
So I'm trying to get us to agree that it makes more sense to lease than it does to build. I can't imagine anybody could present numbers that would indicate that's not correct. Would you agree with that?
I know what you're saying, but the bottom line is, this is almost $6 million for a building we don't own. And that bothers me.
Well, it's over 30 years, so it's really only
Yeah, I'm saying,
$120,000.
well, all of
for
these
building.
are over 30 years. I'm just saying, it just
Right.
really bothers me that we're investing that much money. We will be taxpayer money in a building we don't own. That's
So
just
it would be better to
bothers
own
me.
a building that's $8 million?
Well, maybe some changes need to be made to the plans. I don't know.
If I was a,
And this is not my expertise. This
No, I
is
hear
my
you.
emotional reaction.
I hear you, and if I was buying a business or leasing a business, I choose to own. I do.
Listen,
But that's because when I sell it, I make money. The town doesn't sell anything. The equity to the town there's no value to the equity to the town. The value is today, because it's the taxpayer's money. If you were gonna sell something and make money for the town and reduce your taxes with it, I can help you do that. I flipped properties for 30 years. But that's not the town's purview, you know what I mean? So
I
just,
feel.
I
To
hear
me,
you.
it's a win-win. We do not need another building to maintain. And we have enough now. Depending on if Matt agreed on the lease or come up with a lease, it's a win-win situation to me. And Tom Thatcher agrees, and Jeff Cook, and
Well, Tom isn't here tonight.
I know, but I talked to him.
Okay, but I want to hear what he has to say.
You know, we're not making a decision, so you can wait for him.
You talked to him, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But I don't know that what we can give you tonight that makes you comfortable about what we're gonna do in the future.
So, I mean, I've requested an extension because my contractual obligation to
Right.
get an approval of some sort ends tomorrow. So I've requested a 30-day extension, but it sounds like I wasn't aware that we had to have a public hearing. Do we have to have a public
It's a
hearing?
resolution subject to a permissive, town board can choose that public hearing, that's.
Okay, so we can, so theoretically, if we get the data that we're looking for and the town is interested in it, we could approve this at the next meeting with a resolution. We could approve moving forward,
Subject to a permissive referendum.
right? Which would mean we could sign a lease the day after, or what does that
It's a
mean?
30 days after publication, so usually the publication's like a week or so after, depends on the newspaper.
Okay,
So it's like 40 days.
okay, all right, and that's just a publication requirement, like an LLC.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Gotcha.
I think everything hinges on that. I mean, if you said the lease.
Whoa.
No,
I don't think so.
No, if you say that, if we agree with you saying the lease, Okay, then,
You guys gotta decide. if
Matt's
it
not
works.
making the
Matt just
decision,
gives
Matt's
us
giving us the
more
information.
I know they-
Lease wise, that makes us.
I said, if
We're gonna discuss the hourly rate.
I feel like I'm buying
if the
a car.
information you give
Yeah, yeah,
us,
no,
we
You got me in
agree.
the back.
Police, yes.
Yeah. But there's one thing
That's all I've read, I feel like I'm bleeding all over the screen right now.
is
I can deal with, if the board, to your point, if the board tells me that that's what you wanna do, I can get through a lease, assuming they agree, but I'm not, the lease isn't the, well, my issue is the logistics and the physical.
Well,
stuff you
for me,
mentioned.
the language in the lease that protects the town accordingly
That's what I'm
is
talking
important to me.
Sure, that's important.
That's my main concern.
Absolutely. And to your point, I know there's a security deposit in there. I completely fine without a security deposit. I mean, these are things that, you
Yeah,
know,
it's just full faith and credit.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like the difference between a, a $1,000 lien on someone's house or a judgment against them that liens everything they own. It's the same thing, so, yeah.
All right,
I'm
so
fine with it.
where are we going forward? We're gonna have AES double check. I think it's important for the town engineer to at least do a sanity check.
Yes.
I don't know how long.
They're,
Get a proposal.
they're working on it, yes, exactly, and they're
So-
supposed to have that back to me.
And they have no bias.
What's their time date on that?
Yeah, they said they'd have it, they're in thought, at our last meeting, which was the 27th, it'd take her a couple of weeks, 10 days or so, to get the proposal back to us.
So the proposal is, what did we ask? Because we didn't ask that I was aware of when I was sitting here. I didn't hear, let me be very careful how I say this. I didn't hear anybody ask her to do anything with this building.
To give us a proposal to create some,
Not on this building.
yes,
You had, to, what I understood was that you asked her for a
two
proposal
proposals,
to do
two proposals,
a construction cost on the new construction.
yes, and a second proposal to create specifications, town specifications and requirements to perform that building, do that building, what that would take, what their specifications would be to do that. So it was two proposals that they're working on.
Okay. All right. Making note, 'cause I did not hear that, so. And so, what are we asking AES?
We're asking.
To come up with the New York State code on the police department?
Police department codes, not just New York State, there's other.
Google that, I can do that, I'd save you $2,500.
Yeah, that's my point, yeah.
Done. New York State code and.
In fact, I have all the stats I showed you. That Dave Rose gave me a long time ago. On the police department.
And Tom, my concern is that we get 3 weeks down the road and we get a proposal, we gotta get to another meeting to agree to the proposal, and they've gotta produce the work.
That's
And
what
then
that's
we've got-
what, that's right.
Yeah, I understand.
So, and the concern is that you're, and I know I keep saying this, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but, timing should be important. I know it's important to do the right thing for the community, but you're operating out of a condemned building. And there has to be some urgency.
There has been urgency for the last 10 years.
Yes,
so-
Yeah.
as long as I've been on board.
We understand your urgency, but we
I
have.
just don't want the
we
opportunity
have
to go
do-
away for you.
We have to do what's prudent, otherwise we would find ourselves potentially in a jam with the town and potentially with the state if we don't follow the proper procedures. And that's all I'm wanting to do here.
We're being very.
Also, we can't get rushed into doing something until we have our T's crossed and our I's dotted. And I have no feelings which is the right way to go or the wrong way to go at this point. I just want to make sure we do the needful. And part of that is making sure that people that are working on behalf of the town come up with the specifications and the requirements for both the new build and to renovate that building so that we know what those real costs are. And that's what I think needs to happen.
I mean, I'm in favor as long as the cost benefit works out and the lease
Exactly.
works out.
And we need to have a discussion about, if we were to continue the lease for 30 years, what happens at the end of that time period?
Well,
Yeah, that
the
was
lease
one of the
as
things
it,
I think needs to be.
as the lease sits right now, we propose 2 10-year extensions, but we can make 50-year extensions for all you care.
And we have to protect ourselves from if it's sold, you know.
Can't,
what
yeah.
happens there.
Or something
I
structural.
mean, you are protected if it's sold, but yeah, that's
Well,
something you can
The
do.
other thing to keep in mind is these leases are executory. You know, they have to execute themselves. I mean, if you have experience with post offices, then you know it. The federal government can walk away from those leases on an annual basis. That's, like this town board to buying a future town board gets dicey, so you get, 30-year leases, but from an investment standpoint, that's the risk that they're taking. That's not risk we're putting on them. That's a decision they gotta make, and they price it accordingly.
Right.
That's why those leases, they're very lucrative, those post office leases. I haven't done them in 20 years, but I remember the first time I read them, that post office, government can walk away. And they have. They've shut down post offices, and they don't know anything after it. The building's yours. That's the risk, but they're very lucrative while they're in fact.
More lucrative than this, trust me. But, so, all right, well, I mean, is there anything else that I can do for you guys? I mean, what I plan on doing, starting tomorrow, is I will find those New York State codes and specifications, or if there's anything specific for a police department, and I'll distribute them, and I'll have a conversation with Matt, and or my attorney will, somebody will, regarding what we agree to do and what we don't. So anything that's New York State code or a type B building, I can tell you we're gonna do.
Well, we gotta keep this clear though. I don't decide what you are and aren't going to do. I'm not trying to delay you even further. I understand the predicament you're in. I also understand how the government works. Anything that gets negotiated like that has to come through the town board. So if it's the committee or whoever is negotiating it, and then I take my marching orders from the town board.
I understand.
Dicey when
My
it
point
gets
was
there.
that we would make sure it's crystal clear in the document.
Yeah, I just looked at it again. You definitely wanted to look at it, because as it's written, I just had to go back and look at it. I'm like, man, I don't think I read it that way. It said, landlord agrees to make modifications to the premises to meet the needs of the tenant at landlord's sole cost and expense. That's the access and fit out. First sentence. I was like, you want to look at that? That's a blank check. The first time I was there, I said, sounds like they just wrote a blank check. I don't think that's what they need to do.
No.
So you definitely want to go back and revisit that sentence.
I think there's some more clarification in the lease, but if not, then yeah, you're absolutely right. You definitely need to do that. But well, that's why we hire you guys. Protect
That's
everybody.
not necessarily my concern.
Well, like I
That's what all this
said,
breaks
the
down.
reason that I said we would let you know is if there's something that's crazy above and beyond that's specific to the police department, then we likely won't agree to it, and that would be your expense. But no matter what, it's going to be your expense.
Well, again, and that's where, to your negotiations, there is a cost benefit. If it's cheaper for them to do it, and your cost benefit analysis, and they agree to finance it over the life of their loan, and you guys pay more for it, that is legal. They can hand you a turnkey operation. If your architect and engineer says, this is what the police department and building that's gonna have other tenants needs to be.
That's
what they
he can-
say.
I mean,
This is
like
what's
you
gonna
said,
cost.
you can find that on
There's
Google.
things they can do, you
Yeah.
guys know, we let contracts all the time. This is easily over $100,000 in work. Yes,
To me, all they
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
so you're into a public works project, just like that, we got prevailing wage, we got all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But if they do a turnkey lease, that's something different. You need to take these because of that reason.
do, but I mean, if they come back and say that that meets complies with all of the New York State Police Department codes,
But that's the thing, I don't think there are.
I know there isn't.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where architects and engineers come in. Architects that have designed.
But I mean, he can do that.
Yeah, they can do it, right, I'm not telling you who has to do it. That's, all I'm offering you is that it's not as simple as it just needs code. Code is just code. It's public health safety, right? But to his point, a restaurant
Can I speak on this?
has some codes to one thing, and a store, a simple retail store has another. So those are all the negotiations that you can have. Again, the locker, those types of things that have to be a certain build, you guys can negotiate that. If they want to do the work and pass it on to you at some cost, they're going to make money on it.
But I mean, if they're doing it, and they come back and tell us, I mean, that's all we should be concerned with. That it's,
Yeah, if it meets your
If it
specifications,
complies,
it meets your
then,
specifications.
and they give us a key, we move in.
Can I speak on this?
Sure.
Because I dealt with the federal government when I was dealing with the USDA, and the USDA comes in, does a fit up on a slaughterhouse. They don't tell you the rail height. They tell you the conditions in which the rail height has to fit in.
Yeah, right.
And so they give you suggested because it's liability to the government. As soon as they start telling you, you need this, you need that, it becomes liability, which you tend to turn around and sue the government for. So now there are going to be more guidelines. That's what you're going to get is a list of guidelines to go by. And if this building fits those guidelines, like a hardened structure for bullet penetration, cell construction, it's just going to be guidelines. So it's going to read a non-penetrable surface. So concrete, yes, it does fit that, but also a sheet of aluminum does that. You can't punch through aluminum. I imagine somebody drunk can't do that. They can't fall through it. So those are the guidelines that you're going to get a list of. So it's going to sound vague.
To the point, that's outside of code.
Right.
You're not going to put up a fire protection and building code and say, I suspect,
Everything's
it's right there.
But why would that be any different for AES to do it or him to do it?
I don't know if it would.
That's what I mean. That's
Well,
my point.
it might not,
Like,
but
That's right.
But the town has got to have a sanity check on it. You know, we don't just take outsiders' information and assume it's correct.
If it's stamped drawings by a New York State engineer, I don't care if they come from Putnam or where they come from.
Yeah,
in concept, yes, it could be stamped and certified by the town.
Yeah.
that would be different.
It could. That's, if you're debating points, that, you
Yeah.
have to debate that.
Well, I was
Concept,
saying-
it could, whether it's acceptable to you, that's your decision. I'm not weighing in on that, but the concept is correct.
At the same point, the town, as it's being constructed, can walk through those same guidelines and read them and say, it has to be hardened structure right here. Now, is it
Well, I would
safety?
say, I think you guys would want that stuff to be ironed and.
Right, yeah, right, it has to be, and that's where you have to
Like
stand
it's
there.
like, it look like.
Yeah. That's your investment-based expectation, right?
There you go.
So I understand your timelines. I know, unfortunately, we operate on a municipal
It's not
timeline, which is a monthly timeline. And certainly, whatever AES is doing, I would hope that they do it in an expedient fashion so that we're not just dragging this out unnecessarily.
They are, I mean, when we,
You're dragging it out unnecessarily?
No, I mean, she knew, when he was here, I think, Tim made it very clear to her, his time frame, and she understood that, and she said it would take, a couple of weeks, maybe less, but, from that point, so that
Well,
was.
Greg can go back and reiterate that tomorrow.
And I guess, would you like to try to review it at the finance meeting then? That would be ideal.
Oh, that's
Then it's
great.
at the
Sure,
strategy
we'll
committee.
review anything you got as soon as you got it, when we get all together, which next is.
Yeah, and again, for clarity purposes, I would maybe just double check that the request was made that way, because again, I didn't hear it that way, but it wasn't made that way.
It was.
Good.
Yeah, I've heard it on the other side, but I'll just recommend having a timing, whatever timing is on it.
Okay.
It's-
I mean, if we can get
just
through
remember,
this-
it's the timing to get a proposal to perform those activities, not to do those activities. She said it was another 4 to 6 weeks to actually
It's an hour.
do
We're in June now.
the engineering analysis that would be required. So that's
That's kind of what I was getting at, the municipal process is not a fast process.
You guys just
You
tell me what you
understand the
want to do.
process,
and
we're
I'll-
completely doing your.
So, here's what I would like, which I know may be irrelevant. I would like, if we can at the next meeting, get a resolution to move forward with the lease. And again, hopefully not contingent on, maybe it's contingent on reviewing something. But that way the resolution, once the clock starts on the 40 to 60 days that you've got to have, whatever you said there on the publication, Matt, 30 days.
But it's from a date of publication.
I'm sure that would suffice for my approval under the lease. I think that would be fine, and then it would take me a little bit to get the financing done. So that would be my goal, and as I understand it, I'm just gonna say it out loud one more time, what we're trying to get to is to make sure that what we're gonna do to this is not only New York State code compliant, but meets any additional specifications for a police department, and agree on who's doing that work. And if it's us and it changes the lease price, maybe, that's fine. To Matt's point, I might save you another $100,000 or $500,000 looking at these numbers. You know, I might save you a ton of money doing that, so I'm willing to do that. But that's kind of between now and then, and sooner than, closer to now, because I don't want to give you something on the day before and expect you to have reviewed it and all that. We'll work diligently with Matt to get the lease in a condition that makes sense, if that's okay with you guys. Does that make sense to proceed with that part of it? I mean, I don't want to spend your money.
I'll be back to the board before it goes back to you guys.
Okay, so we'll work together on that to make.
Greg, those cost estimates, do they figure prevailing wage?
It would be on the municipal side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of that-
You would figure that.
That's 30-40% right now.
Right. Right, so AES isn't doing a cost estimate on this, they're just doing a set of specs. There's no point, I'm not going to do a cost estimate on my building, because I have no idea, no intention of doing anything.
No, they're not, they would not do that. They would do a cost estimate on a new build based on the final specifications, if that's the direction we ask them to go in. What they are looking to do now, and their initial proposal, again, is to create a set of design specifications that building would be acceptable to the town.
Okay.
That's what they're looking to come up with. You can take those and say, we've already cost those in, or not, and adjust your cost accordingly. Those are specifications that they would come up with on the town's behalf, and say that, and we would have to agree to them, of course, from the town board situation, that those were the specifications that we agreed to, that were both for a new build and for this, and then we could give you those specifications, and you can do them as you wish. They can cost them out, and then we will cost them out on our end for a new build, if that's the direction we want to go in.
Okay.
That's what's on the table at the moment with ADS.
All right, well, I will work in parallel with them, in conjunction with them if they're willing. You know, I know they've got to have a billing agreement with you guys before they'll do anything, so I'm not gonna call them.
So then Greg and his other engineers, they never sleep.
They're on the road all the time.
Yeah, the board is why I came to hang out here.
Anything else on this?
No.
Let me just finish up here. Tanya, do you have anything?
No.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
We just have one
There's a
quick
lot left in the hospital.
5-minute executive.
Emergency squad people going.
I just have one
They're
5-minute
talking
executive.
millions and they're only asking 100,000.
All right, so we'll go into executive and then we won't come back. We'll come back into regular session and we'll adjourn, so.
Yeah, I don't have any action, I just need to update you on that.
Okay, so can I have a motion to enter into executive session, please?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Do you need me to wait until afterwards?